we do have some actual new Kickstarters to talk about that have yet to be picked up by any major publishers.
As of us speaking right now.
As of now, we will see. The first one is called Illimat, and very interesting, caught my interest because it is in part developed, sort of, or inspired by the band The Decemberists.
Yeah.
Well, we've talked about band games on this show before. Insane Clown Posse.
No, now I'm waiting. We're going to get our One Direction board game. I believe there already is a Justin Bieber board game out there.
Yeah, the dating game, maybe. But anyway, it's not only them, but the actual designer of the game is Keith Baker, the guy who made Gloom. And what happened is they had come up with this fake board game for a video they did a long time ago and decided to bring it to an actual designer and said, it would be cool if this was a real game. Do you think you could turn it into that?
So all that reminds me of is the Comes of Dunshire.
Yeah, it's kind of like Comes of Dunshire, only
now
they're
I feel
actually
like,
making it a game.
all right, we need to go through every form of media. Whenever they have a fake board game, let's make it real.
That's going to happen sooner or later. Basically, it's a super simple game, kind of in the vein of traditional playing card games. You have cards with suits and numbers, and there's a play mat, which is fabric, which is cloth, which is kind of nice. And there are 4 separate fields, quote unquote. Each one is in a different season. And you're playing cards in different ways. So for example, the goal is to get the most cards, period. So if you have a 5 and there's a 5 on the field, you could show your 5 and take that 5. There's other things you can do, like you can sew cards, I think that's what it's called, I forget the terminology, where you can put a 2 on top of a 2, and then on your next turn, if you have a third 2, you can take all 3 of those 2s. But someone else might do the same thing before your turn. And you play to points, and you can play it basically as long as you want to. But it's an interesting, like, weird kind of design that they're trying to make it like feel like an old-timey kind of game. It has nothing to do with their music, but it's kind of neat that the Decemberists are involved in it. You can check out all the videos and stuff. It goes for $45, which is maybe it's fairly mid-range price, I suppose, but I like the cloth mat. I think that's a neat touch. I feel like I wish more games had that.
I mean, it's definitely interesting, and I joked about the idea of of making board games from one medium, but it almost is actually a really interesting, from a game designer's view, to be like, okay, like in this show they had this. How could this game actually work, and try to actually think of a way for it to actually...
No, and in fact, we're actually got a chance to do a little text-based interview with Keith Baker about the game. So if it's not up right now, it'll be up very shortly. We'll be posting about it. So maybe we'll poke his brain a little bit about those details.
I hope it's not too gloomy.
That's nice. Next, tell me about Zenofarrah.
I know nothing about that.
Oh, right. Next.
All right. So the game is based on the idea that at one point in time, apparently there might have been, it's unsure, a bet of who can capture the weirdest animal.
Okay. I thought you were going to say dinosaurs. I was like, I think that's confirmed.
Anyways, it became this thing known as the hunt. And you are now trying to collect hunters and collect animals in order to win the competition for the royals. So the way the game works is pretty much weird animals are going to be put in like a center row. You're going to get a hand, and you're going to choose a starting like crew member or head hunter, as well, and you get more crew. And the idea is you have to build cages, catch certain animals. You also have secret goals like capture 3 canines to try to get you more points, because the royal you're working for has an odd specific. But also you can mess around with your opponents, so you can be like, your animal got out of your cage, or I'm confiscating your cage and stuff.
So essentially it's like a set collection game.
Except with a lot more interest. It's sort of like a hidden with the animals and stuff. Like, is he trying to collect small mammals or reptiles or dogs?
Right.
And all the animals are hilarious, like weird things. Like I think one was like a cabbit, it was like a cat rabbit or something, and like
Cabbit. That's from Tenchi Muyo. Anyway.
And
nerd.
Such a nerd.
But yeah, I like that.
But like, so that's all the fun, different animal design. Sounds like a sort of fun sort of collecting sets, also backstabby and resource management. Like, you got to build the cages first before you get before you can actually use them. So you have to be like, should I make my crew better at building things or capturing things?
All right, I like it. Sounds cool, and I like that it's weird animals and not just normal animals. That makes it a lot more exciting. It goes for $30, so that sounds pretty good, and it also has an awesome title, Zenofarrah. Check that out. Third for today's show is called Dracula's Feast. This is a small social deduction card game in the same vein as Resistance and Mafia. Everybody has a secret role. You're all different monsters at a party, basically a Dracula's party. So somebody might be Van Helsing, someone might be Alucard or whatever. These fictional
Zombies,
monster people. And the way it works is you're trying to guess who everybody is, and on your turn, you can straight up ask somebody, are you this character specifically? And they will either tell you yes or no with a card, so only you know, and you're not allowed to say. Then you can ask a different player to dance with you. What that means is you switch cards with them and look at each other's cards. If they accept, they have to say if they want to dance with you or not. If you dance with someone, then you cannot accuse them later of who they are. If you do accuse someone successfully, they're out of the game, and last person standing wins. You can also, if you want, try to say who everybody is who's currently still in the game and win earlier.
Wow.
If you think you've figured it out, everybody's. So, did that make sense? That's basically what it is. It's a guessing hidden role game with a lot of different roles, and everybody has their own unique powers. Some people have to say yes to a dance, for instance, or maybe they have to say no, or you can't dance with them. Different things like that. And there's also an expansion, which is of course, Cthulhu and Friends expansion.
I did not see that coming.
But it's and Friends. It also has things like King Kong in there.
All right.
And Cerberus was one of them. So that's pretty cool. And the base game is just $9. And the art is kind of neat. It's this fun, spooky art.
It sounds a lot of fun and silly.
Good Halloween time. I'm sure if you like those kind of games, which I do, I'm sure you'll like it.
The way you just said that, you sound like, I don't like that.
Because it's like just a layup for these guys. Like, you don't got to do anything. Do I hide? I like it. And finally, tell me about, that was Dracula's Feast. What's the Hackers Guild?
This has nothing to do with Dracula, so
Okay.
no connection there.
Okay.
Apparently, there's an evil corporation that's going to take over the world and enslave humanity. The hackers are trying to stop them by hacking to 5 different locations. This really is a worker placement game, but what it is I believe it's up to 5 people. Everyone but one person play as hackers, each with their own special abilities, and they're all trying to hack these different locations. Like, I think it's like the bank, the robot lab, the backup servers, the main servers,
Okay.
And then one person is the corporation, whose goal is like, he's going to change the rules of the game, he's going to try to turn the hackers on them and each other and like mess with them. So it focuses a lot more worker placement stuff, and it sounded like a really interesting. It reminded me almost like Android Netrunner sort
For
of.
sure. That's the first thing I thought of when I saw the picture and the word hacker.
But it sounds sort of fun because when I think of a lot of the 1v styles, usually like, we're placement moving and like it almost has a little story. This is very just like. Which must make sense with hacking. It's just numbers and
Right. No,
at least movie hacking. I'm gonna go in the back door and just.
I like this is probably a completely different game, but that 101 game where it's a simple 2-player, but you're using binary code and stuff. I like when games kind of it's like, especially with programming and stuff. It seems it's easy to take that concept and make it, like you said, this numbery kind of game. That feels thematic still.
Yeah. So I thought it was a really cool. Definitely. I put it on here because I definitely think it's an interesting worker placement game. And, usually I don't put those on there, and I think it deserved a mention.
That goes for $37 in a row.
So I just realized the most expensive game is actually the Decemberist one.
Yes, it is.
Huh.
And I've seen some quibbling about that people think they're only getting away with it because they have a big name behind it, which may be true. I don't know, but...